So spring-loaded always make games using XNA, which is a fully code-driven engine. So there's no editor or anything. But I always wanted to use an engine if I made a 3D game. So either Unity or Unreal. I used to use Unreal when I worked in proper studios, and it's great as a designer. I really liked using it. As a programmer, I really can't get into it. So Unity is C sharp. It's a lot closer to XNA, but I'm using it in probably a way that would make most people cry. So I'm making a video about it just as I go, because I've not really experienced much Unity, and let's see if I can like make things, and maybe it's interesting to like somebody out there to see the weird way that I use the engine. I'm sure other people use it similarly, but it's very much a code-driven approach. So this is my Unity scene. As you can see, it's just got a camera in it and a light, and then we have resources. So I have my prefabs in my resources, so I'm going to have characters inside the characters folder. So the first character is just a cube. C underscore is what I'll call all my characters, I guess. So the reason that I put it in the resources is so that it can be loaded on the fly from code. I don't have to put it into a scene. I don't have to make a spawner in my scene. I like to control everything, with managers and understand what's going on with everything. Unity seems to be a lot of like tutorials and stuff seem to tell you to do everything based on kind of events. So you're passing an event from something. I don't personally really like working that way because I feel it's a bit chaotic and I can't control everything. And coming from a kind of very code-driven background, I'd like to micromanage everything so that I can make sure it does exactly what I want. So the code, I have a main file, and this is basically where my entire game runs from. And I attach that to my camera. So let's go and look at the code. I mean, if I run the game now, there's nothing to see, absolutely nothing. Amazing. So yeah, so I start off as my main, as you know, and inside my main I make some stuff. This don't destroy and load means that this camera, this object that the camera is attached to, the code is attached to rather, will not get destroyed when you change scene. So I actually load my scenes and everything from within code. So all our games, spring-loaded games, we have something called a game state manager. So that manages basically stuff like, are you in the menu? Are you in the results screen? Are you in the credits? Are you in the gameplay? So that's that. I also have a thing called a player. Let's go find that. So the player is, the idea behind the player is anybody who's got a controller, really. And so, but it's not just controls. It would be things like how many lives do you have? What's your inventory? All that kind of stuff. Anything related to that player that you might need to save. So some of our games, the player has so much stuff in them, like the map layout and all kinds of things, and it becomes huge. But because this one doesn't do anything yet, this game, I've just got the input map. So that is like, we go to the definition on that guy, and we can just see that all I'm doing here is just, I've got 2 joysticks. That's all I'm mapping. And the joysticks come from the horror show of Unity that is this thing. Edit, project settings, and it's this thing here, input manager, which is horrible to use. Oh, look at that, that's supposed to be 1. Okay, brilliant. I don't know why 3 is the default. Why would you want your joystick to go from -3 to 3? I don't know. Or maybe it does something else. I don't really know. As you can see, my knowledge of Unity is spectacular. Which is another reason I like to do it all in code, because at least I can control what the hell's going on, right? Okay, so we have our player. So every frame, the player is updating, which means they're collecting the input from the joysticks, and then we update the game state manager. So within the game state manager, I have my gameplay manager. Here it is. So all gameplay manager does right now is basically makes a character. So my character manager would have, my my player character that's running around. We have all the enemies that the player's trying to fight, everything like that. So this is where we control. So if the player shoots a bullet or something, this character manager would resolve the bullet hitting another enemy. So for now, I'm just focusing on the player character themselves. And so what I do, this is kind of the way the structure works. We have obviously the control map, the input map for the player, which is everything from a pause button to a whatever, right? But a character moving around doesn't need a pause button. It just needs 2 joysticks currently. That's all it needs. So I make a new like micro control map, and every frame I copy the player's input into this. And the reason I do this is so that I can have an AI, for example, also populate a control map like this. And so we can pass these into any character controller, and the character will move around correctly, and it won't know if a player is controlling it or an AI. So here's my character controller. As you can see, it takes one of these simplified control maps, and then it does stuff with the character. Moves them around, basically. So my character at the base level, so we have a controller, we have an input map, and we have basically the base character. So this is the kind of model and stuff. So if we look here, right, I'm loading my prefab C player unit, which if we go back to Unity again, let's see, we've got my resource. You have to put it into resources, and then I've got a prefab folder, and then in there I've got characters. So yeah, that's how that works. So yeah, it loads it, and then it moves it around, as you can see, plus the move stick, plus delta time, plus its movement speed, and then does some stuff, whatever that stuff is. I don't even know what that is, but that'd be stuff like animations and all kinds of stuff. But it should take delta time, so I don't know what's going on there. Oh, I know what that is anyway. Doesn't matter. So yeah, I've been messing around with this for like 2-3 hours. A lot of this code is like pulled in from our other games, like our XNA games. So stuff like this lerp math I use to like move around the camera, things like that. So the streaming thing, this allows me to load scenes in and out. This is not XNA code, this is a Unity code. Have a look at that. So yeah, just does that. Pretty simple, but I like to write kind of very clear names for things so that I really understand what they do, and I can't be bothered to go and find this bit of code every time I need it. So yeah, I always have these like very verbose function type names and stuff like that, so I know what's going on. Data, we always have kind of data classes in our games, so that'd be like, what is the draw texture coordinates of all the animals in our zoo game, or what is the health of a monster inside Decks and Dungeons. Sometimes we load those from CSVs, Excel files, or sometimes we just have it in the raw code. So as you can see, there's a level called Mountains 1, and it's going to do something eventually. And so this will get populated and have lots and lots of maps in it. So this is the enum for my maps. I mean, there's not much there really, is there? There's nothing. But the idea is that I just want to build something in Unity and just sort of become a bit more comfortable with it, even if I'm not doing it the Unity way. And it'd be nice to make something in 3D, because I haven't really made a 3D game in like 8 years or something, So yeah, anyway, there you go. That's a really, really boring summary of me doing some stuff in Unity.